The remaining issues for the VW board to resolve before you can IPO, I'm curious as to what they are.
Yes, indeed, Volkswagen made yesterday the decision to prepare the Traton group for potential IPO. But that means not that we are doing an IPO, but we are preparing an IPO after we have finalized our project to have a capital market readiness. So the next step is now to prepare an IPO. But again, Volkswagen made not a decision for an IPO.
Yes, I'm curious as to what's left to decide upon. What are the remaining issues you need to resolve?
I think for us it's important that we are increasing the brand performance. That means MAN, Scania and Volkswagen, that belongs to the Traton Group. That we are trying to get all the mechanisms ready for such a potential IPO. And then we have to look into the markets and into other things around. And then Volkswagen, as the shareholder, can make a decision if they want to have one or not.
I want to ask, Andreas, about your partnership with Navistar and how that is progressing.
I think, as you know, we have started to acquire 17%, close to 17% share of Navistar, and since then we made a lot of progress in our strategic alliance. Navistar is included in some combined engine projects, transmission projects, and also when it comes to new digital services. So we are very, very happy with the actual status of the alliance with Navistar, and we are looking forward to work with them very close in a strategic alliance like we formed it 2 years ago.
Would you be interested in a takeover of Navistar either now or perhaps after an IPO if it happens?
We are very happy, as I said, with the actual situation with Navistar, and at the moment this is not on our agenda.
How will VW trucks compete with some of the brands that we know in the United States, like Mack trucks, for example, or Freightliners?
Can you repeat this question? I was not able to get it.
How will Volkswagen trucks compete with the Daimler and Volvo trucks in the United States, which we know under brand names like Mack, for example? How will you compete?
We started 3 years ago with the so-called now Traton Group, and our target is to form a global strategic alliance network. So that's the reason we work together with Navistar. We signed today a cooperation agreement and a joint venture with Sinotruk from China. And we are working together with Hino on the Japanese side for the Southeast Asian market. So with these strategic alliances, we can use together a lot of powertrain components, because in our business, 60% of a truck is based on powertrain. So the target is in the next century that all of our alliance partners, including ourselves, is using the same powertrain components, of course adjusted to the brand requirements. And with that one, we can achieve economic of scales others have already achieved. So our synergy potential is much bigger, because the rest, you mentioned, the rest of the truck manufacturers have already harvested what they have planned, and we are in front of that.
Andreas, as you know, there has been an escalation in trade wars or trade conflicts, at least between the US and China. How concerned are you about coming trade conflicts with the European Union and truck makers?
I think that's of course fact that the world is at the moment not so predictable as it was in the past, because a lot of insecurity is between the trade areas, barriers, and a lot of discussions between the different areas, for example, between the United States and China, that will have impact. Or think about the next steps the US has in mind when it comes to the Iran embargo. So we have to be prepared for such situation. But a global setup is helping us to overcome such things, because when we are producing trucks and doing it in different regions, we will do it always in the region, and so export and import is for us not the biggest hurdle. We have to overcome things like that, and we have to define the business that it's stable enough to overcome such situations.